And that's the thing. Your content, no matter what you do, your content has to be for everybody else, which leads me to the number one mistake everybody, every brand, every company, every entrepreneur makes on social. The secret sauce is to create content that matters to them.
Welcome to the Side Hustle Lounge. If you're looking for flexible ways to earn income, grow your mindset, and live the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, you're in the right place. So lower the lights, grab your favorite beverage, and join your host, founder of NotaryCoach.com and Amazon best-selling author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent, Bill Soroka.
Cheers and welcome to my next guest, Dan Shinder. Dan is founder, CEO, executive producer, and chief cat litter box changer of Drum Talk TV, as well as founder and CEO of Advanced Social Marketing and creator of Social Media on Steroids. Dan, thank you so much for joining us and spending so much of your time away from the cat duties with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Bill. I really, truly appreciate the invitation. And hello, Bill Soroka's community, everybody that's listening.
Yeah, thanks. Guys, I think you're in for a treat. Dan brings a lot of energy and a lot of wisdom to the business, solopreneur, sharing dreams. What we're talking about today is pursuing your passions and bootstrapping your way to success. And Dan has a very unique story about how he did that. And then ultimately he has built an empire that every single week, Dan's brand reaches an average of 5 million people with 2 million post engagements, 4 million video views, and he's never paid for advertising or boosting a post. So we're going to get into exactly how he made that work a little later on in the show. But first, Dan, tell us how this journey all began, starting with you just pursuing one of your passions.
So, it includes a backstory where I fell in love with the medium of video when I had this crazy idea. I had a really good job. It was a bit more than a 9-to-5, but it was a job. I was the sales manager for a company that sold accessories and gear in the audiovisual industry. And during that time, I had a crazy idea for a cooking show, but I didn't know. I love cooking. I should weigh 432 pounds, but I'm closer to about 157. I love cooking and I love eating. And I came up with this idea, but I had no idea how to sell a TV show. Like, how do you do that? So I thought, I'm just going to do the show myself. And I was living in Ventura, California at the time. I got connected with the community access television station, who I found out one of my daughter's best friend's dad worked there. So he kind of got me started, guided me through. I took the certification classes to be able to use their cameras, use their lighting system, understand basic editing. And so after taking that, I thought, well, this is really cool, but F that. I don't have the time or the patience for the learning curve of the post-production stuff, even though I had a deep background in audio production as a musician my whole life. So I hired 3 people that worked at the television station to work on my show. And I designed the whole show, the brand. It was called Chew on This, with 3 W's because it was online, and there was already a fishing show called Chew on This, which is still out there, actually. This is 20 years ago, by the way, folks, as this is being recorded in August of 2021. So we're talking, years and years ago. So anyhow, I got started. I launched it. Long story short, I fell in love with the medium. It did so well that I had to make a choice. I quit that other job. I had benefits. I had a great salary, was getting overrides, commissions. It was fun. I loved the guy I worked for, who I'm still in touch with, and did the show for about 4 years, went through a horrific divorce. The only divorce I went through that didn't involve biological kids with this particular person. So that was the end of that, but it really took all the wind out of my sails, and I stopped doing the show. And after a while, I started doing corporate videos, started a video production company that lasted 14 years doing training videos, product launch videos, marketing videos. I was doing video marketing before those words were even put together.
Yeah, you're like a pioneer in this.
Kind of. I mean, it was all, there wasn't even social media at the time, and I was doing it for websites. So my deal was I would go to Main Street businesses and I'd have gone through their website already and I'd show them, look at all this text. No one's going to read all this. And why would you leave the interpretation of people just skimming through that to decide whether or not they want to come in, order from you, whatever. So I made my job to convince business owners to turn 70% of the text on their websites into video modules, bite-sized video modules. And it pretty much worked really, really well. And then I moved to Las Vegas. I ended up going to work as a producer for a multi-level marketing company that was one of the very first streaming video companies. The consumer side was called Hello World. The MLM side, the affiliate side, was called VM Direct. And I did all their marketing videos for the product for the affiliates to sell to the consumer. And I did all the promotional videos for the company for all the sales events and big things to the affiliates, and also directed 2 or 3 live news shows. We had a sound stage there and everything. One was for the affiliate side, 2 were for the consumer side. So I really was able to advance with technology and beef up my chops and kind of learn stuff as I went, as we all should always be doing, no matter what we do. And then I met Tad James, who recently passed away. Tad James and his wife, Adriana, the founders of the largest NLP and hypnotherapy training company. Started making videos with them, and they invited me to. I got so busy, I quit that job and then started the video production company up again. And they were my primary account, and connected with the guy through the streaming video company who was in the charter yacht industry in Australia. Went to Australia to do this big project with the Tad James company. My wife went with me. I went for 2 weeks and stayed for 2 years, basically.
Wow.
I got so much work from the charter yacht industry from my friend Mark, who is an American guy that had lived there for 20 years, worked with the Sydney to Hobart yacht race that year. So that would have been 2009. I remember right. Yeah, I think 2009. And came back and didn't want to do anything because I came back. My wife shipped all my computers there so I could finish the Tad James project while I was working with the yacht industry. But my father was literally dying, and I came back in time to, they thought I'd walk into the room, he'd look at me, hey, how you doing? And that would be it. Well, that fucker ended up living another 16 weeks, which was great. So I was his 24/7 caregiver. He had added on to my sister's house, and his suite had to be kept at like 86 degrees. So my sister rarely wanted to go in there, blah, blah, blah. So I lived in there with him for the last 16 weeks of his life, took care of his every need. He had a doctor come every other day that would visit him. It was just an amazing, amazing experience. And when he passed away, I grabbed my duffel bag, went home to the new house that my wife moved us into while I was gone. I'm glad she told me where it was rather than, hey, go get some peanut butter and then move, And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was 49 and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I said to her, let me just work with you. She's a professional artist. She does art therapy. She does murals. She teaches art. She's a professional seamstress. Let me just do your marketing. We'll work together. It'll be great. And she said, okay. So we did that for about 3 months. And then she came to me one day and she said, her words said, I think you need to find something that fills your cup. But the thought bubble above her head said, this guy needs to find someone else to play with. I think it just got a little too close for her. And that's when I said, I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to work with big companies anymore. I just don't know what to do. And she said, well, you told me you used to give drum lessons. Why don't you teach drumming? And in that moment, I realized, hey, I'm a certified trained NLP trainer, so I know how to train people. I did used to give drum lessons. I've toured, I've recorded, I've produced, I've done session work. So I'm well-rounded in that musical area. And I know video, and I know video streaming. That's what I'll do. So I started an online platform called Dan's Drum Clinics. This is where I started to really seriously cut my my social media marketing chops. I wasn't even on Facebook until that last little stint in Australia, and a guy said, "So Dan, what's your Facebook? Let's connect." I said, "I'm not on Facebook." It's like, what? You and some little old lady in Nebraska are the only people not on Facebook. And this is a guy in Australia. So he scooted me over. What's your phone number? What's your email? Da, da, da. He got me on, and I was on. So I used Facebook as the launch pad for Dan's Drum Clinics. I had followers in 64 countries before I published my first lesson. Now, here's the key. This is what I teach. This is what launched Drum Talk TV a few months later. I knew that the drum lessons didn't matter unless there were people present to watch them. So what's the chicken or the egg? How do I get people to the chicken that's going to lay the egg so they can get the gold that's in the egg, right? So I thought of all these other content ideas. I took 0 webinars, didn't read any books, didn't follow a blog. I just used a little critical thinking and uncommon sense, I guess. And I came up with about 10 categories of content to attract people to my channel and my website so that when I started publishing lessons, there were people there. And within about 2 months, I had people following me from 64 countries. Then I started publishing lessons as well as kept curating this other content. Well, a few months later, I was going to leave. We were living in Las Vegas. I was going to leave for a week or a few days to visit 2 of my sons in San Diego. And I had some Pelican camera cases and stuff stacked by the door. My wife said, "What's up with that? Thought you were just going to go see the boys." And I said, "Well, on the way down there, I'm going to get with this guy and that guy, and I'm going to interview them about, what they do in drumming." And she said, "What do you mean interview them?" And I said, "Well, I think that drummers can learn from other drummers' experiences and perspectives from their unique experiences rather than just at a practice pad or at the drum kit." And she said, "Oh my God, that's what you should do." And I said, "What?" And she said, "Interviews." And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Just do the interviews." Because she saw me do interviews in the charter yacht industry. She saw the news shows I produced and sometimes was on camera. And I said, no, this is just a separate little thing on the Dan's Drum Clinics site. I'll call it Drum Talk or something. I don't know. And I left, and I came back with these 2 interviews, and we watched them, and she's like punching me in the arm saying, see, that's what you should do. See, I'm like, "Crazy woman, this is just a separate thing. It's all about the lessons. It's not about the interviews." Well, I showed him to a friend of mine who I had known since I was 28, who went through the cooking show journey with me. And in fact, he asked me at the time, "What do you know about producing a cooking show?" And I tongue in cheek said, "I know everything I need to know. We have 7 TVs in the house. I know all about TV." And so he watched an episode, one of these 2 interviews. He said, "Oh my God, that's the chew on this guy." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "That's the chew on this guy, the guy on chew on this." He says, "Yeah, dummy, it's me." He says, "I know, but it's like the same persona, the same." I said, "Well, I've gotten pretty good at being me. I don't know how to, do anything else."
Can't be anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, and he loved it. He said, "You really should just do this." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, have you been talking to Enja? What's up with that?" He ended up showing a guy in television. That guy called me out of the blue and said, "Look, no offense, but the drum lessons are watering down this gem that you have. You really should just do interviews. Call it, I don't know, Drum Talk TV." Because he knew about the drum talk. He said, "Just add TV to the end." That's where the name came from. I didn't even think of it. So within about a month, I closed Dan's Drum Clinics and officially opened Drum Talk TV January 6th of 2013. We're in our 9th year, and it's just been amazing. I took all those embryonic strategies and applied them to Drum Talk TV. We had 47,000 followers, and we're reaching 999,000 people in our 7th week of existence. So just one more little answer to your question. Sorry. Because there's a lesson in all of this. So about 3 months later, I had hired a woman who became a very close friend. She doesn't work with Drum Talk TV anymore, but she had redesigned the user experience for Toshiba, worked in Silicon Valley, working with the back end of really providing great user experiences on websites and content marketing. I hired her to be our chief digital officer. She came to me with a report from a third-party statistical measuring company called Simply Measured. And she showed me, she said, "Look, we're reaching 900% more online reach and engagement than all of our industry peers combined." Industry peers is a fluffy word for fucking competitors, okay? So that means Modern Drummer Magazine, Drum Magazine, Drumhead Magazine, Rhythm Magazine, Drummer World, Drum Channel, Tom Tom Magazine, and probably 6 others I can't think of right now. We were achieving 900% more online reach and engagement than all of them combined. And some of them had been around for between 12 and 38 years at the time. We were 4 months old. So at that moment, I knew why. I knew it was because of my strategies that we implemented and everything. So I instantly had an epiphany. I need to start a new company to teach others how to do this so that others could thrive doing what they love, helping other people, getting great results. Because even way back then, 8.5, 9 years ago, I saw that no one had a clue how content marketing really worked. Even other agencies, even other people teaching this and charging people for courses and workshops and webinars. I poked around at some of that to see what people were doing, and it was like all wrong. The instruction they were giving was all wrong. So I started a branded line of products and services called Social Media on Steroids, which is what most people know that side of me by, as opposed to the company name, which is Advanced Social Marketing. And that's what the website is, advancedsocialmarketing.com. So that's how I parlayed the success of my strategies from my founding brand of Drum Talk TV into starting a whole new business to teach others. And we all should do that. We all should leverage and capitalize in a very positive way on what our expertise is. And I learned that that was something I could do that with to help other people with. Could I have kept teaching drum lessons as well with Drum Talk TV? Of course. Could I have taught other people how to do interviews? Of course. But this was much bigger, much broader, a much wider net to help people. And I started teaching at the music industry to gold, platinum artists, up and coming artists, makers of all kinds of instruments. And then I branched out and started working with everybody in just about every industry you can imagine. And it's just been an amazing journey. I will admit that it's been a little challenging having two 80-hour-a-week careers at the same time with 11 kids, 19 grandkids, a wife, and a cat. That gets a little time consuming. But that's from seed to where we are now in a nutshell, no pun intended.
Yeah, I don't think that was a nutshell, Dan, just by definition, but that was an amazing story. I love that. And you touched on so much, and I've got to go back a little bit here on a few things, because I wonder if I love how you said that you parlayed what you learned working one business into an expertise that you could turn into another business and help other people. I think that that's an amazing skill set. Now, you had a conversation with Enja that kind of like shook you and said, hey, this is what you could be doing along the way. Aside from serendipitous conversations with people who kind of point us in the right direction, is there any other advice that you'd give to somebody who's maybe working one main business, and how do you step back and see where the rest of your expertise lie?
When you say step back, that's one of the most important elements, Bill. We always need to remain as objective as possible. We have to sit at the grownups table and realize there's always a lot more to learn, and we all want to think our stuff is cool and great. And don't ask your friends, because they will tell you what they want you to hear. They'll hold your hand, smile, and nod as they walk you all the way to the cliff and watch you fall off, because they didn't have the balls to say, you know what, this stuff sucks, and this is why I think so. We need to fall down the stairs a few times objectively within ourselves, or listening to other people who will be that honest with us and make those adjustments. Nothing we do is ever set in stone. You could change your branding, you could change the voice of the brand, you could change what archetype your brand is, whether it's from Drum Talk TV is a jester brand, Advanced Social Marketing is a sage brand, but you could start out as a sage brand and go to the hero or the explorer. We have to always be Ray Kroc's four work dimensions that he insisted everyone at McDonald's had, is you've got to be motivated, you have to have a high energy level, and you have to be flexible and adaptable. And as entrepreneurs, those same four keys are the four pillars to help us advance. High energy level, be motivated, be flexible and adaptable. And be flexible and adaptable with your own stuff. Don't be so married to things. And when you talk about key conversations, another one Lori had with me near the beginning of Drum Talk TV, April of 2013, and she was new we were new working with each other and getting to know each other. And I knew her background. She had an amazing pedigree. So when she came to me and said, I think we need to change the visual branding of Drum Talk TV. And I said, okay, what are you thinking? And she kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit and said, well, I don't know. I just think the look needs to be refreshed and updated, and, the font and the glowy letters. I said, well, like, what about it? What about it? She said, okay, it looks like a 50-year-old man did it. Well, I turned 50 2 weeks before this. So I was 49 and
dead on accurate.
8/12 and she happens to be 6 months younger than me, but still, that was her perspective. Another person really great at objectivity. If she wasn't objective, being close to 50 herself, that may have never occurred to her. But I said, okay, well, let me ask you something. In the short time we've been working together, do you feel you know our audience enough to understand what would resonate with most of them? She said, I do. I said, and I know your background and everything, so don't be offended by this, but do you feel you have the chops to design a branding palette with the visuals and everything that would fall in line with that? She said, I do. I said, so why don't you come up with 3 or 4 examples and let's go over them together in 2 or 3 weeks. And her mouth dropped. She said, are you sure? And I said, and now I'm puzzled. And I said, well, yeah, isn't that why you brought this up? She said, yeah, but in all my years having worked as a consultant, when I bring this up, people say, oh, but the fluffy cloud with the unicorn and the lollipop, that's my thing. And those are my colors and that's my font. And I interrupted her. And I said, Lori, I understand that, but let me tell you something. I am never personally going to buy a fucking thing from Drum Talk TV. I don't even have to like how it looks. I want the rest of the world to like it. And that was the beginning of an amazing symbiotic working relationship, because she knew that I'm on board with what's going to work the most, not what my personal sensibilities are. It's not the Dan Shinder show. It's not what Dan likes as far as music and drumming and all of that. We are truly the only print, online, or anywhere. We're the only media company covering the world of drumming that is 360 well-rounded. No offense to them, we've worked with a lot of them, but most of the other magazines and their online presence, they cover the big rock stars, the big pop stars, the big jazz stars, the big educators, and a couple new people on the block. We cover all of that, but we've been to Japan to film 2 taiko drumming documentaries. We've covered the Singapore Drum Fest in Singapore 3 years in a row. I've filmed. We curate content of all genres, from West Africa, from North Africa, which is the Middle East, all over Europe, different parts of Asia, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, all types of drums and things that you would never even imagine, even if you are a seasoned drummer. And that's one of the things that makes us different. So it's not about what I like. And we do curate content that is not my thing as a musician, but it's not about me. That's not what it's for. And that's the thing. Your content, no matter what you do, your content has to be for everybody else, which leads me to the number one mistake everybody, every brand, every company, every entrepreneur makes on social and with content marketing is that all they do is advertise, promote. If that's all we do, there's no reason for our target market to follow us. If all we're going to do is constantly advertise, what's for sale, buy this, buy that, download this QR code, here's the coupon. The secret sauce is to create content that matters to them. We certainly need to still advertise, but that should be 20, 30% of our content. The rest should really be of the common interest. And no matter what you do, folks, whether you sell potato chips, swimming lessons, you have a boat dealership, you're a platinum artist in the music industry, you're a leader in dental tech, you're a real estate trainer, no matter what it is, there are at least 12 different categories I could teach you that are going to keep you from jamming down people's throats, only what you have for sale, and attract people like I did when I started Dan's Drum Clinics, followers from 64 countries before I even published the first lesson. So that's really a big part of it, is objectivity, and always be willing to learn and know that you never know it all.
Yeah, that's a hugely valuable lesson, and you dropped so much in there. But I want to take no, that's great. No, I want to take the freshest thing that you just said here, and I love that we've connected because I'm of the very like mind on the 80-20 rule on social media content. But A lot of the people in my audience right now, the people listening to us, the amazing people listening, many of them are mobile notaries, loan signing agents, they're side hustlers, they're on the road a lot, and they oftentimes struggle with what to talk about. So they forget who their ideal customer is. Maybe they end up talking to other peers in their industry as opposed to their ideal customers because it's when you're in it, sometimes I think it's difficult to realize what maybe people want to talk about. Do you have any tips for how they can find topics to talk about?
Yeah, I do. But before I give those, I need to learn just a little bit more, as I would, with a client, about what a notary's week is like. So, for instance, who are some of the primary uh, target market people that they're striving to do business with, and who they do business with, and what is the problem that they solve?
Hmm.
If you could tell me
That's
that
a
first, that'll help me give you.
no, yeah, I absolutely can.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be great too because I think this will help them identify their ideal customer as well as they're listening. But let's just take mobile notaries and loan signing agents as the example.
Okay.
A lot of times, our ideal customers are going to be escrow officers for real estate transactions, or closing agents or closing attorneys, and then attorneys in general for estate planning documents and other what we call specialty notary work. So, escrow officers, closing agents, and attorneys.
Okay, so we're talking about things that involve real estate. We're talking about things that involve estate planning, and we're talking about attorneys in what field mainly? Mostly those two, or outside of that as well?
Yeah, in some states it would be closing attorneys, so
Okay.
real estate closing attorneys, and then every niche within that is a possibility as well as the general public because people need a notary when they need a notary, and there's all kinds of circumstances in their lives that result in that. But yeah, that's
And
if we
then,
just went with yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, then there's another factor I heard in all that, Bill, that they're mobile, correct? They're mobile notaries, right?
Yeah, right.
So when I think mobile, no matter what business you're in, it's automatically fair game to talk about road trips and the mode of transportation. And everybody's got road trip stories and mode of transportation stories. So as a mobile, here's a post for you all. And let's put a picture of a 1958 Porsche Boxster, the orange that they had. Orange with the black leather interior, and it's cabriolet, so the top is down, and there you are in your cabriolet Porsche Boxster with giving a thumbs up. And the post says, what would your dream mode of transportation be as a mobile notary warrior? What would it be? And get people to say, what's your dream car? What would your dream road trip be as a notary? And maybe give 3 examples. Up the California coast? Would it be across the South? Would it be up the Eastern Seaboard? Fun road trip stories I think are great. What was the most recent road trip? And it could all be related to work as well. What was the most recent road trip? What was the farthest road trip? What was the most fun road trip? What's the craziest thing that happened on a road trip? Do you pack a picnic or a lunch? Do you stop somewhere traditionally whenever you do this? What's the craziest thing that was at the end of a road trip that you had to sign a notary for? There's 6 ideas right there that you can constantly recycle. There are also 6 ideas that you could do as a meme, a funny meme, which is a graphic with the text on it. It's also one that you could make a video. Hi, I'm Dan. You're a local Southern Arizona notary. I live up in Globe, rural area. And I got to tell you, it's a challenge for me sometimes when I have to travel to the big city, kind of out of my element, even though I drove in the big city. What is your mobile notary warrior challenge? And put your comment in. So that's one. And then all of those are also fair game for doing lives. When we do lives on either Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, that's the number one relationship builder between a brand and its audience because you're using one of the 5 elements that I call 5 to keep your brand alive. And it's the element of being inclusive. They get to participate. You're able to ask questions, answer questions. So if I did that same post as a live, you might chime in and say, oh my gosh, there was this hailstorm. I was in my convertible. I couldn't get the top up, nowhere to pull over. Everyone's got stories, whether you're a traveling salesperson, a traveling medical technician, whether you're a traveling notary, whether you're a traveling musician that gives lessons, whatever, we've all got road stories. And that's something that a lot of people, even if they're not notaries and they are your clients, can relate to. It's also a great way to show your soft underbelly and show, what you went through. Our personality comes out when we tell stories, even if we're typing them in the comments. So just real quick, I mentioned the 5 to keep your brand alive. I don't want to leave a loop like that open. So 5 things to check off in every piece of content marketing you do, folks, whether it's for sales or community building content, the 80-20. Always make sure that you can check off these 5 boxes. Every post is to help you stay present, help you stay relevant, help you to help others, which means we should always be offering value. Number 4, my favorite, being inclusive. And number 5, to help position yourself as an expert. So again, as an example, not just an expert to your target market, but expert to others in your field. It's great when we can, as a community, as dentists or as shoe salespeople or as artists or as mobile notaries, when we can be a community to get ideas and tips from other people, talking about road trips, talk about road trip hacks. What if you got to go somewhere for 3 days, spend the night, but you got to pack light? So how do I take this 3-piece suit and make sure that it's not going to be all wrinkled? Then I got to find a dry cleaner. Then personally, what I do is I put it all on one hanger and I roll it all up. Whoops, microphone got away from me. I get to the hotel. First thing I do is turn the shower on as hot as it goes, hang the suit up in there in separate pieces, close the door, let it steam for half an hour. It's not my water bill. I'm paying for the room. Just little road trip hacks like that for each other. Do you belong to the automobile club or, whatever it is? What's your favorite thing to eat on a road trip? Do you take your clients out? Do they take you out? Do you give them a gift? Or, those are some of the things that will not only make you attractive to your target market who's seeing it, but where you as fellow mobile warrior notaries could learn from each other and gain tips. And I think that's what being in the same industry together is all about. There's such thing as a competitor and there's such thing as a community, and we can all be both at the same time. It doesn't mean that it's an us and them thing. We can all, there are people who I teach what I do to other agencies, and it's not like, I don't want to teach them my secret sauce, because what if we're not going after the same customers? And even if we only worked in music or in the professional speaker field or only with notaries, we're never all going to get, and no one's ever going to get everybody. So what? Help somebody out, I am a true believer in karma. What goes around comes around. And just like a computer, life is garbage in, garbage out. Help people out, give stuff away. I really think that's important.
Yeah, it is. And thank you for that incredible more gems. And I'm having a hard time keeping up with my notes. You're bringing so much value to this. This is great. But
Dave, let me screw your notes up again one more time, if I may.
Please do.
I want to add one more topic. We talked about the road trip. One more topic that if you notaries are mobile and you're working with escrow agents and closing attorneys, what does escrow agent tell you? Real estate. What does real estate tell you? Post amazing pictures of mansions and castles and even just like a really neat Airbnb on the edge of a cliff overlooking a lake. That's a whole fair game topic, real estate and architecture, because those are some of the people that you work with that are related to that journey. Same thing with estate planning. If there's one thing that you could take with you to your next life that you don't want to leave to anybody, what would it be? There's a great, maybe you've all had this experience. One of my sons came here to visit, and we have this room set up here. My wife and I collect old books. So we have this room that we call the family room or the library, and we've got just bookcases and bookcases of old books going back to the 1800s and all kinds of other really neat, funky stuff in there. So my son Alex is walking around, just kind of looking up, looking down. I'm like, you looking for something? He says, I'm just taking note of what I'm going to put the Post-its on with my names to make sure I get them. Funny things like that. Like, how do you talk to your family about estate planning? Do you ask your kids what they want? Do you not want any of them to get anything? I know someone like that who's not leaving anything to any of his kids because it just turned out bad. So those are real estate, estate planning, road trips. Those are 3 things related to everything that you all work with,
Yeah, those are huge, and that's I call it sharing your passionate journey. If you're excited to be here and you're open and you're aware of what's going on, there's always something to talk about. So I love that you said that, and I want to talk too about. It sounds like you have a really positive mindset
Thank you.
on
I
this.
do.
The how did you reconcile that leap from competitor to colleague and really truly embracing that?
Let me think about that for a moment. When did that first happen? I think I'm not sure if this is the first time it happened, but we're really started to open up is when about 5.5, almost 6 years ago now, I joined the National Speakers Association, and I was unaware of it before then. Yet I was speaking all over the world about content marketing and all this stuff. And a gentleman saw me speak somewhere here in Arizona, and the Arizona chapter is the founding chapter of the whole national organization. So he said, "I've never seen you before. That was great. Are you a member of NSA?" I said, he said, "National Speakers Association." I said, "What's that?" He says, "Oh my God, you don't know? You've got to come to a meeting with me." When I heard the words, "You've got to come to a meeting with me," I immediately had some aversion because my wife and I don't join things, if you will. I've joined two things in my adult life. The first one was only about 6 years ago, National Speakers Association, when I was 52, 53, and now Alliances, where we met.
Yeah.
And so when I heard you got to come to a meeting with me, I immediately started like, I'm coming. I got to go. Someone's calling me. That's like what I wanted to do. But I liked this guy. He had a really nice demeanor and everything. So I said, well, okay, what is it? And he explained, he says, just come to a meeting as my guest. You don't have to, there's no obligation. Just check it out. And he told me a little more about it. So 3 weeks later, I go to this meeting. I meet him there. And after 10 minutes, the giant light bulb went on above my head. Now, I have to say that before that, I was having a bit of struggle with my business. And the struggle I was having is that I was primarily working with people in the arts. With all the love in the world and with all due respect, most people in the arts, even if they have a business, they think so heavily with the right side of the brain that the left cavernous side has moths and cobwebs and bats flying around, and they don't think like business people. I happen to be a business person that is in the arts. My wife is the same way. She's a businesswoman that happens to be in the arts, as opposed to an artist trying to fluff her way through business and not wanting to learn. And it was getting so frustrating because we all know who needs us, but that doesn't matter unless they know they need us. And sometimes there's a mindset that no matter how well we market and promote ourselves, that won't change their model of the world, that their mindset is developed on, and they will never be our customers. And I was really getting frustrated because I saw all these people taking a nosedive in their business and with their marketing, and just, it was so cringeworthy. It was horrible. And here, most of them don't want to learn from me. When I joined the National Speakers Association, that's when I started teaching it to people in real estate, people in real estate training, people in dental tech, life coaches, people in health and wellness, professors at universities that taught XYZ that wanted me, some dumbass drummer that didn't even go to college, come talk to their class of people working on getting their PhDs. And I would always say, and I still do, folks, this is so easy. Even a drummer can do it. And they would just laugh. They love that. I said, if I can do it, you can do it. And it's like anything else. It's not difficult to do. It's a matter of knowing you need it and then learning how to do it from someone who has had amazing results. So when I joined the National Speakers Association, I was there to be a speaker, getting business from it, even though my friend Kevin said, there's so much money there waiting for you. These people need what you have. I really joined because I started thinking about, wow, I can really learn to be a better speaker. You'd never know it from listening to this, but I could be a better speaker, put better presentations together. That's really why I joined. And they always say what Cavett Robert, the founder who's passed on of the National Speaker Association in the late 80s, said is there's a big enough piece of the pie for everybody. And that was already kind of my mindset, but I didn't so much congregate with fellow teachers of content marketing, if you will, But here now I was in this community of professional speakers where we're all learning from each other. And you've got to be open-minded to learn from someone who just is, maybe they're still sleeping in their car trying to start a business. They went through a divorce. They lost everything. They had a gambling problem. Who knows? Learn from that guy or girl all the way to someone that's been doing it for 40 years all over the world. We need to be open and know that these gems can come from anybody in a different industry, at a different level in their journey from us, a different culture, whatever it is. It's so important. So I think that is not the first I thought of the first. I thought of the first. Back in my days of being a performing musician, I grew up playing up and down the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. I toured the United States a few times, but playing in Hollywood at the clubs like the Troubadour, Madame Wong's, the Whiskey, the Roxy, House of Blues, stuff like that, I loved hanging out with the other bands that were on the bill. And that's one thing that is different about drummers. There are other musicians that do this, but drummers are just different. Drummers will show each other their gear. Hey, show me that technique you were doing. Yeah, let me show you that. Whereas guitar players don't even want you to know what effects pedals they're using. It's really a silly thing. But drummers will stand on the side of the stage watching the band before them or after them play. And that's when I think I developed more of a communal mindset. I know that sounds real sort of cheesy, liberal, hippy dippy, when I use the word communal, but it truly is what it is. And I just think, like, the reason I started Drum Talk TV, because I thought drummers can learn from each other, from each other's experiences and perspectives, and not just sitting at a drum set and learning the mechanical stuff and about music. And to me, I've realized I have that whole mindset with business. I can learn from a dentist. I'm not a dentist, but I can learn from a dentist and his or her journey. I'll give you an example. Noel Lee. Noel Lee sold his company, but he owned Monster Audio. Monster Audio was a consumer and prosumer line of everything from, do I have them here? No, they're in my bag. Professional headphones, consumer headphones, Bluetooth boombox, cords, cables, all kinds of fun stuff like that. Bazillionaire, lived in Vegas, and I was living in Vegas at the time, and somehow we met. I don't even remember that, but he invited me to breakfast. Hey, Dan, let's go to breakfast. Let's get to know each other. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to sit and ask this guy who started his company like Microsoft and Apple in the garage, and now he's got 180,000 square feet and 4,000 people work for him. Yeah, I think I'll be at breakfast tomorrow morning. So I said, no. He said, ask me anything. If you want to ask me anything about business, then I got some questions for you. So the question I asked him was golden, and I'll never have I have no aspirations to have a business like his, and neither do any of you. But his answer was amazing to my question, which was, no, when you went from starting this on 2 workbenches by yourself in your garage to where you are now, all along that way, what was the one singular challenge? Was it funding? Was it technology changes? Was it? And he blinked and said, it was scaling. My biggest challenge was scaling and keeping up with growth and figuring out how to grow properly and not too quickly so that it would crash and burn. That was my biggest challenge. And that's where everyone needs to really be aware of it, but take their time doing it. And I have learned since then, this was about 7 years ago, and I've learned in the last 7 years that he could not have been more right. Scaling has been such a challenge for me. Not getting to the point where I could scale. We are scaling, and we always have been, but executing the scale and getting the right people in the right positions. Not that I've made, bad choices. Well, a couple times, selecting people for positions, but finding the ideal person that has the right skills, that understands the company culture, and that has the chemistry that fits in. I'm a little demanding to work for. I'll just say it. And that's just because I'm a get shit done kind of guy. And I don't want to be bogged down with the science of details. Let's just figure it out. Let's do it based on other results we've gotten. And if it doesn't work, we'll do it. Well, let's constantly be moving forward. So a lot of people are really analytical, and that's okay. And they need to think and A, B, and C test it and all. That is fine, but it doesn't fit my personality. And I don't want a bunch of Dans working for me. Believe me, I wouldn't be able to tolerate one more of me, let alone 30. but I just, to find that right mix of people that have the right skill sets and the right variety of different ways they work, that's been a challenge. And I'm having that challenge right now. And I think of Noel every day. We haven't talked in a little while, but I think of him every day as I go through that. And it's very important for us to always be learning from each other and have a communal mindset. It's important.
Yeah,
Is there a mobile notary association or guild or
yeah.
brotherhood or sisterhood or anything?
It'll blow your mind, Dan. There is an entire world of notaries. There's about 4.5 million notaries across the country. So
Wow.
we have a national notary association. We have state associations. We have the California League of Independent Notaries. We have all kinds of them across the country. Yeah, it's so under the radar. Like,
let me ask you. Well, yeah, it's industry only, so that makes sense. But give me, if you don't mind, I'm really curious about this. Give me 3 things that a mobile notary gets out of being a member of one of those associations. What does that association provide? What does the experience provide that makes a mobile notary want to be part of that and go to the big convention in Vegas or Nashville every year and do whatever the big thing is that they do? What's it all about?
Yeah, I'll tell you. There's a couple of big reasons. So, and I'll just choose one that I happen to be a member of, the National Notary Association. I think.
Which one? Sorry, the audio went kind of weird. What's the name of it?
National Notary Association, or the NNA. So they provide educational resources. They provide a hotline for members. So if you, in any state, if you run into a problem with a notarization, you're not sure what to do, you can call this hotline during their office hours and get guidance and assistance on where to find the answer. And then there's some legislative stuff that happens in the backyard, the back area, defending notary laws and notaries in general, all kinds of supplies and all that good stuff. And then there's some like
code of ethics, kind of make sure people stay in their guidelines as well. And
yeah, they helped design some national standards for the loan signing industry as well. And then, there's so many emerging laws and changing with remote online notarization now. E-apostilles are coming down the road. So you have organizations like the California League of Independent Notaries, or CLIN, that are really focused on the legislation part. So they're really acting as advocates for notaries, because it's really fun to watch the evolution of this industry just come alive in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah. So I'm sure some common topics and things are also the evolutions in technology, software, and services available to you, like you've mentioned, things like that. That's fascinating. I'd love to talk to you more about this offline. That's really neat.
I could talk about it all day long, Dan. I really can.
That's great. That's a sign that you love what you do. There's a difference between talking about what you do all day long and complaining about what you do all day long. So it's great that you can. I love that.
Yeah.
I also want to mention something. When I talk about the fact that there are different topics other than what you're promoting, like I used the road trip example, real estate and architecture. The one objection I get to that sometimes, and I got to tell everybody that it's mainly been in the arts, is where I get this objection. People in music particularly, they say, I don't want to do that. To me, I don't want to ask my audience questions. I don't want to ask my following questions. To me, that's just chit chat and it's pointless. If you want to learn how to do it right, learn what works and learn from someone who's made it work. It's not chit chat. It's not pointless. It's a way for you to learn about your target audience as well. If you're not providing something for them to comment on, you'll never know what they like, what they don't like, what they want more of, what they want less of. What questions do they have? Answer questions, ask questions. It's so important. When we look at the statistics of social media channels, let's just take Facebook. What matters the most is comments and shares and video views. And one more beyond all of that. Number one is reach. If you're not reaching people, none of the other stuff matters. The likes, the emojis, the hearts, all that means nothing. And some people could argue and say, well, I got 120 likes and hearts on my post. That means 120 people liked it. But why? If they didn't comment, you don't know why, and you're not learning anything from them. On the phone, take your smartphones out, people. On your phone, think of how you use social media. You take your finger and you're scrolling. You're scrolling, you're scrolling, you're scrolling. It's too easy to just click like, heart, like. We can't learn anything from that as business owners, bean counters, or content creators. We learn from the comments. We grow organically from the shares, and it all starts with reach. And if you remember what Bill said in the introduction of me, I've never paid for advertising. I've never paid for boosting a post on Facebook or Instagram, never advertised on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram or LinkedIn. It's all been 100% organic, and it works. I hear all the time people complaining, now it's pay to play. Now it's pay to play. That's how they have it designed, but we still are not paying to play, and our numbers are bigger than ever. We reached, I checked before we got online, 7.3 million people last week. I mean, we're still doing it, and it's all in understanding your audience and providing exceptional content to share with them that matters to them. And guess what, folks? That's not always going to be what your service offers. So we build these other conversations around that, such as the architecture, the real estate, the road trips, and things like that, to keep people's attention so that when we do drop an advertisement in front of them that you don't have to pay for, but a post on your channels that advertises what you do, now you've got a captivated audience that's paying attention. Without that, it doesn't matter how good Drum Talk TV's interviews are. It doesn't matter how big an interview I do, who it's with, or how important the event is that we're covering, or how snazzy the documentary is and how much there's to learn. None of that matters if we're not reaching people and have gained trust, likability, and brand love. Otherwise, they're not going to pay attention to us, and the product means nothing. It goes the same way for any other services or durable goods.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, value is truly in the eye of the beholder. We often think we know what people want, or we know what we think they should know, but they're just not interested. You got to give them something they are interested in. And I love the suggestions that you gave on the peripheral of real estate or the peripheral of estate planning, because that's stuff that can make a difference in people's lives. And then they get to know you, like you, and trust you. And I think that's the biggest gift of content marketing and social media, is because it's true that people do work with who they know, like, and trust. That gives you an opportunity to show your personality, to show your value, to show your expertise, so they can get to know you a little bit.
You know, that's a great point you made at the end of that, Bill, because all things being equal, if you take two people that are, let's say, health and wellness consultants, okay? Let's say they're both going to talk about fitness and dietary stuff, things like that. All things being equal, they've both been doing it for 30 years. They both have huge followings. They both have best-selling books. They both have an awesome blog, an awesome YouTube channel. They both provide value. Their programs are about the same price. When it comes down to that, it all boils down to who are you going to go with. If you're only going to spend $10,000 with one of them, it's going to go with who resonates with you the most personality-wise. Yeah. When it comes down to it, that might be the last little factor to check off, but it ultimately could be the most important one in making that decision. And with content marketing, like you just articulated, that is our chance to show our personality. And, you know, if I may just tell everybody to please, there's a podcast that I did, and it talks about the 12 archetypes of brands, the difference between a jester, a sage, a hero, the explorer, the regular guy or gal, all these different things. It's really eye-opening if you're not familiar with that. If you're trying to be or project yourself as one brand, but then you read through these list of 12 that were developed by Carl Jung, the psychologist, you might read another brand and go, oh my God, that's us, not what I thought. You know, it's really amazing. And it's on my website. I'll send Bill the link, and if you don't mind, you could add that. I really recommend people listen to that so you can understand how you can also resonate with people as well. That's my point. The voice of your brand is everything.
Yeah. You know, I'm so glad you came back to that, because that's one of the notes that I have here to explain that. I had never heard that either. So I will post the link in the VIP room. to that podcast, and maybe that's going to spark a whole other rabbit hole for me. So thanks for that, Dan. Just what I need, another rabbit hole to jump into. But I love that. No, but here's I also want to touch on that a little bit go back a little bit on what we were just talking about with the differentiation and your personality. And what's your thoughts on how much personality to include, and when do you hold back, or do you just let yourself out?
Okay. So I want to comment on the rabbit hole comment first, because I've been called an expert for giving people more stuff to do than they already don't have time to do. But I guarantee 1,000% to anybody out there, if I recommend it, it will work for you. If you do it exactly how I teach it, it'll work. When it comes to your personality, I really think that's the X factor. We can all go to school, get the same degree. We can all go to a company's training and get the same certificate. We'd all get the same stuff that we buy into at a franchise and all of that. We can all do the right things, make sure the restaurant's clean, the menu board is up to date, all these different things. It all comes down to the voice of the brand and the personality. So if I could use Drum Talk TV as an example, Drum Talk TV is through and through a Jester brand. A Jester brand is playful, it's silly, it's fun, it wants to bring joy to the world. That's exactly who we are, and we are 100%, 180 degrees different, the opposite from all our media peers. Our media peers recognize that music and drumming is fun, but they're very academic. So, most of them are, if you can imagine, walking down a long fluorescently lit hallway with vinyl tile floors and the clickety-clack heels of your shoes. That's most of them. Creased sleeves, starched collar, creased pleats in a woman's pantsuit dress. It's very academic and straight laced. Drum Talk TV is kind of like going to the circus, and I'm the ringleader. And it's fun, and it's snarky, and it's playful, and it's why people love Drum Talk TV. It's also why some people don't like Drum Talk TV, and why Modern Drummer resonates with them more. Or Drum Channel, which is much more all about education. And that's fine. There's something for everybody. Be that something for somebody by letting your personality drive the voice of the brand. Why is Drum Talk TV a Jester brand? It's based on me. And I don't do anything unless it's fun. I'm not putting on an act when I do interviews and I start out with our silly intro, and it's just me being me. Like I told my friend years ago, when he saw Drum Talk TV and compared it to my Chew on This cooking show, I've gotten really good at being me. And I bet all of you out there are pretty good at being you. And don't worry about bouncing off the walls like it sounds like I am. No coffee required, by the way. Don't feel like you have to be a radio personality type or a television presenter. I'm not a professional speaker. I don't go to, and don't worry about any of that. I was just asked those questions that relate to that on a show the other day, doing a free workshop about podcasting. And they said, you got a lot of energy, this and that, you're a professional speaker. What if someone doesn't have all that? Can they still do this? Yes, just be yourself, whatever that is. That's the most important thing. So to answer your question, Bill, in short, don't pull back. There's whatever someone's personality is, none of us are so unique that there's no one else like that out there that it's not going to resonate with. So I think it's most fun to attract more people like you. I like to have fun. I want to attract more people that have fun in both businesses. Obviously, when I'm teaching content marketing, just that phrase is academic, but I make it fun. I make it really fun. I don't want people. I made the mistake the first time I ever taught this in person. I had an 8-hour course, all taught in one day with a half-hour lunch break, 2 15-minute breaks. By the end, people had pink eye, their ears were buzzing, they had infections in their throats. It was like I really learned a lesson there. And I was trying to make it fun, but it was just way too much at once. We all have the ability to leverage whatever our personality is to either make it fun, make it more spiritual, make it more academic if that's how you are. If you're more of the engineer type mentality and academic, do that because you will attract people that resonate with it. But the number one reason why the answer is yes to that question is because I think everyone can tell when people are authentic versus putting on an act or trying to be someone they're not. And it's so easy to be authentic, just be yourself. And we, I think, present better, we sell better, we teach better, we consult better, we're easier to be around, and people believe in us and trust us and fall in love with us more easily when we're clearly authentic. So that's really the number one reason.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, especially as a solopreneur, right? You can't have a split personality. You can't be two different people. You've got to be authentically you. And why would you want to attract people who are not of your same like mind? That makes it creates a rift. So it is. I totally agree with you. But I know there's still people listening right now that think, yeah, but what about when people don't like me? Or what about if I do turn people off? Is there going to be enough business of people who like me? Do you have any advice to help people be okay with not being liked?
Oh, yeah. So I've been married for the fourth time. So in saying that, there's a few people out there that don't like me. Right. Thankfully, two of them came around, and I'm very, very close with two of my ex-wives. But that's kind of a joke, but it's true. But yeah, I can. So this goes back to something I said much earlier, and that's removing that emotion part. Strive to be liked, but know that not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to like how you look. Not everyone's going to like how you dress. Not everyone's going to like your accent, your dialect, where you speak from in the country, whether it's like my wife is from the Bronx, I'm from Los Angeles, or if you're from Oklahoma, we're all going to talk differently, especially when we get passionate about something. That's when our dialects come out even more, right? But what about someone that's been here only for 3 years from Arabia or Iraq versus someone from Sri Lanka or Japan? We're all going to talk differently. And unfortunately, sometimes people hold that against us, or sometimes they just want someone that's more like them. Oh, this guy's funny. This guy's bouncing off. Oh, this woman's really elegant. She will understand me because I'm very elegant. Oh my gosh, she's got the same SUV I have. Hey, let's have tea. So we really have to remove that emotion. There is enough business out there for everybody. The entrepreneurs, no offense to anybody, but the entrepreneurs who didn't put it together during these horrible 18, 19, 20 months of COVID didn't do what Ray Kroc said. Those other two elements, being adaptable and flexible, they didn't pivot. I'm going to use musicians as an example. Most of all performing musicians, their business crashed. Some of them were smart and they started doing session work, trading files long distance. Some of them were smart and started educational programs they didn't have. Most of them just stayed in their little box and whined about it the whole time and still are. That happened in every other industry as well. You've got to be able to take advantage of what happens. My wife and I, respectively, both had our best year last year. And by June this year, we surpassed that year. And we need to see the gold in everything. And thank goodness the people that you don't resonate with, thank goodness they're not going to do business with you, because it doesn't always turn out right. I follow one of my two big heroes that I follow is Michael Port. Michael Port says, work with people who enable you to do your best work. And like Bill said, if you don't resonate with someone and you're so different, it can cause a rift. And when I first heard Michael Port's Book Yourself Solid audiobook with him reading it, my wife and I were still living in Vegas. We were on our way to Arizona to visit someone in the middle of nowhere, and we both had a problem child customer at the time. So we're driving along and we're listening to Michael Port, and he talks about the red velvet rope policy. Don't even go after everyone to do business. They need to qualify to do business with you because you all have value. So you all need this red velvet rope policy. So he started talking about that. He said, you need to know when it's okay to fire your dud clients. My wife and I whipped our heads at each other so sharply I almost drove off into the ditch about 3 miles south of Wickenburg. I could not wait. You can fire a client? Hello. I couldn't wait to get to our destination and write this email explaining to someone who was paying me $5,500 a month for my program, who argued with every effing thing I taught him. I finally wrote him a note saying, if you know everything, you don't need me. Have a good day. It was actually 18 paragraphs longer, but that was the message. Nothing ever felt more
Yeah.
liberating
Yeah.
than that. And that's why we can never trip out or stress or call it a failure when we don't resonate with someone or they don't like us. That just can't be part of the success map in any way. It really can't.
Question for you, Dan, on that. I know there's I agree with you. Firing a problem client can be the most liberating feeling. Been there. But you still, the building up for it. I mean, you're thinking about, oh, that's $5,500. Am I going to have another client to fill in? When you did it open up anything for you? Did something better step in?
So
besides peace of mind?
That's a great question, because I did think about that $5,500. Who couldn't use, I don't care how successful you are, who couldn't use $5,500 a month, right? So yeah, I thought about that for a moment. And then I thought, that just opens the door for more to fill that space, is the way I looked at it. And I'll give you another more recent example. In the last year, less than a year. So I teach this stuff, I consult, and we also operate as an agency where we can provide the service in part or in full. In the last 9 months, I lost 3 clients that decided to discontinue our service because it, quote unquote, wasn't working for them. These are the only 3 clients I've lost for it, not working for them in the last 9 years of doing this. And all 3 were for the same reason. It's because they didn't follow my instruction. They didn't give us exactly what we needed, and it broke. Simple as that. Now, I'm not trying to lay blame. Maybe I didn't do as good a job as being more firm with them. I'll take the blame, but it's all for the same thing. And each time it was emotionally a little frustrating for me, because I love to get to know my clients and make friends. And now you're telling me you don't want to work with me. I admit I had some emotional angst there, but I replaced each one of those with new clients that were paying 3 to 5 times more.
Wow.
Every experience is a learning experience, whether it's a poor experience, an unexpected experience, a successful experience. We need to be able to learn from everything. And those were learning experiences for me. So I added a ton of stuff to my onboarding process to make sure that from the beginning, my clients get like a huge portion of one of my courses, even if we're providing the service 100%, so that they understand exactly what we need, how we're doing everything, why we're doing it this way, so that when me or Abby ask someone, hey, we need 5 videos like this, they'll say, what do we need those for? We never had to do that before. Why does it have to start out that way? And what about this? And it eliminates all of that. They just give us what we need, we make it happen, and everybody is successful. So always look at something going away, making room for something much bigger and much better that you can thrive with even more. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, it's so powerful. Yeah, you really do. And I think the philosophy that I've adopted in life that has really brought peace of mind for me is that I now trust that life is unfolding for me. So even when it doesn't feel like it, even when it feels like the shit's hitting the fan and I'm losing clients, or things aren't going the way I wanted them to, I've learned now to just trust that it's going to work out differently, but better.
Yeah. And by staying aware, you can recognize what those differences are and what's going to make it better, and not be so stuck in our ways of it's got to work out like this. It's got to be like this. And there's no right turn, and you don't pause here. We need to watch things at a granular level every step of the way, so that we can be flexible and adaptable and polish it as we go and make it even better, because stuff happens. Life happens. You have a vision A to Z, but around G, this can happen. And around S and T, you hit this roadblock, and you end up that you look back once you get to Z. Oh, wow, that squiggly line is nothing like that straight line I drew when I first envisioned this.
Yeah.
We still got the destination, and it was being adaptable and flexible that helped you do that, and open to learning.
Yeah, that's so huge. Dan, I feel like I could probably sit here and talk to you all day, but we've been here for about an hour, and I would like to wrap up. I know I'd like to wrap up though, and there's no time limit or anything, but I'm going to go back to one section of my notes, because we just danced on the 5 Alive. And I think that philosophy on social media strategy could really benefit those who are listening right here. Can we go through each of those 5 and maybe just elaborate a little bit more?
Yes, definitely. So I learned that these 5 elements are about 13 years ago, 10 years ago. I was reading about blogging, and I didn't really know what a blog was or why to do it. And a few different places I looked, they were sort of saying the same things. You need to blog so that people are always aware of you, to stay present. You need to blog so that you can help others, give value, give stuff away. You need to blog and so I put all this together as what I call the 5 to keep your brand alive. So number 1, we always want to stay present. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who say, I don't want to learn that yet, or I don't want to do that yet. I'm going to wait till my new book is out. I'm going to wait till my new DVD is ready. I'm going to wait till we launch our new iteration of the product. I'm going to wait till our new POP displays are ready. And then they wait, then they learn it and launch it to crickets and tumbleweeds because they didn't build a following ahead of time. So staying present in the meantime is so important so that when you do launch something new, you've got people already in love with you. You know what the biggest thing missing is from crowdfunding campaigns? Why most crowdfunding campaigns are unsuccessful?
What?
They didn't have a crowd to start with. They're missing a crowd. It's in the name of the process. So they don't build up because they're just so eager and hasty and desperate to run a crowdfunding campaign. They think one person even told me if I build it, they will come. Well, guess what? They didn't. And he came to me afterwards and gave me credit in this book that he wrote at the end of how he learned the lesson the hard way. I should have listened to Dan, build the crowd first, then do the crowdfunding campaign. So stay present always in between all your new launches and new products and all those things. Number 2, be relevant. Know who your target market is, and they're never going to be made up of the same people, even if they're there to buy the same thing from you. Understand them and be relevant because people need to see themselves in your marketing and promoting. And here's what I mean. Let's say I had a hiking boot. Dan's boot. Get the boot. But if all my television commercials and YouTube videos and Facebook and Instagram videos all had seniors like me, I know I sound like I'm 15 on the recording, but I'm not. I'm a senior, okay? Then the 18 to 24-year-olds would see those videos and go, oh, those boots are for old people. I'm young. I'm spry. I'm going on a real hike. But if all our videos were for the 18 to 24, 25 to 34-year-olds, the old people like me would say, oh, those boots are for the kids. I need boots for my wrinkly ass, worn out feet. But they're the same product. So we need to consider gender, age brackets, even cultural. Think for a moment. 3 personas, one like me who grew up in Los Angeles, California, and has had the fortune to travel the world. I've been on 3, 4 continents, versus someone who lives in Shawnee, Oklahoma, 70 years old, never left Shawnee, except that one time they had to find a new mechanic because Biff was closed on a Tuesday, versus someone who lives in a Manhattan apartment who's never left Manhattan. Those are 3 completely different people with different models of the world. And I'm not saying you need 50 versions to sell whatever you sell, but if you have people that you sell only to, let's just say, C-suite managers that are going to make the decision, you might want to consider gender, a couple of different age ranges. Is it big city talk and visuals? Is it out in the rural area? Things like this matter. So that's why relevant matters. So present, relevant. Number 3, be helpful. Give away value. About 13 years ago, this was real difficult for me. A guy was trying to convince me to blog. I had my video production company, and he was trying to tell me that I should be doing this blog to talk about video production, how to make videos. What? That's the service I offer. Are you crazy? Why would I teach people how to do what? It just I couldn't get my head around it. Fast forward, Drum Talk TV has all this success. I start this social marketing company, and I, for a long time, was afraid to do a podcast. I was afraid to do a video series because I was afraid, well, what if they watch all 1,322 episodes and put it all together and don't need to take my course? That's like looking back as the stupidest thing I've probably ever said. But it does the opposite. It endeared people to me and what I have to offer. It told some people, oh, this guy's kind of funny. He sounds fun. He sounds young. That ended up being a surprise real answer at the end. I want to work with him. Other people say, this guy's just too loose. He's just silly. He's bouncing off the walls. I need someone that's going to take my business serious. This is how I do things. When I did my cooking show, for more than half the time I had a co-host, an executive pastry chef. So you've all gotten a taste of me. So I'm like this, and Ed. So Ed went to the CIA, the Culinary Institute of the Arts. And before Ed went to that CIA, he was actually in the other CIA that you've known about. So he would talk about making a red velvet cake, like partly between a military colonel and a chemist. And I'm behind him with a giant red knife, like I'm going to hack through his back and just, running back and forth in the background. We were so opposite. Some people totally going to resonate with an Ed. Some people are totally going to resonate with a Dan. Some people are totally going to resonate with, like my wife, Enja, someone who's a seer and very spiritual. Not foo-foo. She's a businesswoman, believe me. Black Jewish woman from the Bronx. She can get down on a very serious matter, believe me. But so we all have these different traits. So when we're helpful, give out your nuggets. Give out value. Teach people. I teach people all the time how to select a service provider. I offer that. And if you don't choose me, that just means I wasn't for you. But at least learn what to look for. Because everyone, I know you folks can't see this. I'm going to hold it up to the camera for Bill. I'm holding up a $8.99 computer keyboard. Anyone for $8.99 can get into social media marketing because all they need is a fucking keyboard. And they think that's all they need. My point is that the helpful part is a huge thing. If you have the roadblock I had, let go of that and give value. Tell people how to find mobile notary, how to select a mobile notary, what sets you apart. Now, there's only so much that could set us apart, but for me, what sets me apart is I teach from the experience of having the hands-on experience of achieving tremendous results myself. I didn't read 3 blogs, a magazine article, a book, and go to 3 webinars and then say, hey, now I'm going to do this. You all have great experience that make you great at what you do. From writing estate planning notaries, from working the closing attorneys, from working with people in escrow that make you better and better for your next client. Talk about that. And if they don't choose you, don't worry about it. They chose someone that's better for them because they resonate with them for whatever reason, and they made room for the more perfect client for you to get. Number 4, my favorite, inclusive. Oh, if I got a story for you on inclusiveness, I'll nut this down so I don't take too much time. So we, in Drum Talk TV, for the first year, there was no video on Facebook. Or maybe it was the first 8 months. Then they did video. People saw that we were achieving all these crazy numbers. People were writing into us constantly, multiple times a day. Will you share my video? Will you post my video? Can I be on Drum Talk TV? Hey, here's a video, constantly. And I was like, no. We had this automatic response message that was probably stuffy. It wasn't meant to be. I wrote it. I'll take the blame. And it said something like, the Drum Talk TV Facebook page and YouTube channel is to curate content that we create working with the artists that we interview and the events we cover. There are plenty of Facebook groups where you can share your video. Have a great day. And this went on for about 3 months. And one day I saw that there were like 223 messages. Okay, let me watch one of these videos. And I felt my body language go from a frown with crossed arms to my arms dropping to my side, my eyebrows way on top of my forehead, and my mouth with this huge smile, because that's what watching one of the videos made me do. And then I thought, oh my gosh, if the video makes me do this, I'm a member of the community we're serving. That means stuff like this will resonate with our community. I got on the phone with Lori right away. Lori, we got to build a portal so people can submit their videos. Wait, I thought we weren't doing it. No. I'll explain later. Let's just talk about this. Now, for the last 8 years, we've got this whole system where people submit videos. They fill out a form. It teaches them what not to do, what to include, shoot the video horizontally, not for all this stuff. And being inclusive in that way was the biggest game changer. We gained 100,000 new fans in 3 months just by making people more a part of what we do. You all could do that with as notaries too. Even if you don't have people submit stuff, definitely have people submit testimonials, by the way. Hi, I'm Sally, and Bill helped me in one of the hardest parts of my time with notarizing or estate planning, Get testimonials sent in and teach people how to do them. Real easy. Who are you? How did we help you? And what would you recommend to people? It's simple. It's not difficult. But you could do the same thing by asking questions for people to share their best notary experience, their horrific notary experience. What are you challenged with in regards to estate planning? What's a horrific or a wonderful escrow experience you had before? And get people to partake in the comments of your post, and then graduate to doing a live. I teach how to do this, by the way. Did I mention that? And then start doing lives. And when you're inclusive, wow, is that a game changer? If you do all of that stuff, it pretty much takes care of number 5, which is position yourself as an expert in your field. Because now you've remained present, you've remained relevant, you've been helpful, you've become inclusive. They love that. And now you've also talked about what differentiates you from others in your field and the successes you've had. Now you've automatically positioned yourself as an expert in your field. Again, none of this is hard to do. It's just a matter of knowing how to do it and being aware. That's all. That's all it is.
Dan, that's so huge. If somebody was interested in working with you, I know we're going to, they can subscribe to your email newsletter. You'll get your 6 steps to daily success free PDF if they do that. Plus, yes. I would imagine they can visit your website at advancedsocialmarketing.com, as well as our VIP room at sidehustlelounge.com. Dan will have his whole little section in there in the social media section. Yeah. So you can connect with him that way. Listen to this episode as many times as you'd like as well. Dan, Shinder, thank you so much for being here, delivering so much value to our audience. I've loved this time, and I'm sure we're going to do this again, I hope.
I would love to. And Bill, thank you so much for inviting me. And for those listening, thank you so much for putting up with me. For those of you who have listened to this again, thank you very much. And if you're listening to this for a 3rd time, seek out a support group. No, and you'll learn when you look through my website. You can just email questions. Don't be shy. If you just have a question, don't think like I'm going to try to arm twist you into some just ask questions. Just fill out the form, email me a question. I'm happy to offer that, and I'll send you the link to that podcast with the 12 archetypes as well. And by the way, the 6 steps PDF, 6 steps to daily success, is basically a cheat sheet of just what to remember every day to make sure you take care of with your content marketing.
Beautiful. Thanks again, Dan.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.